That messes us up. So I'm gonna say that again. Many times in life, if we're not careful, right, we will lose sight of the fact that the Most High is the source of all blessings, and we will get caught up in striving for those blessings instead of our full desire being for Him and Him alone. As a result, our actions and our efforts will be spent on obtaining the benefits of the blessings versus the purpose of the blessing. You understand? For example, we will desire to find a husband or a wife to obtain the benefits of being married, but we lose focus not to carry out the purpose of being married, which is to bring forth the Most High's will in the earth. That's the fault of being married. But we'll be only concerned with getting a husband or a wife just so that we can have the benefits of being married. You understand? Right? Then we will, many times we will desire to obtain prosperity and wealth to be able to have the benefits of money instead of focus on the purpose of money, which is to finance the gospel going forth, as well as to establish our family as salt and light to the lost. Yeshua had one mission to do the will of the Most High. He had no personal agenda. With all the sacrifices he made, his purpose required, he never had a pity party nor complained. More importantly, he never put aside his purpose for a second to pursue any lust or desire of the flesh. He never lost sight of what he was doing. He never lost sight of the purpose, what he was called to do. Everything was about doing the Most High's will. Let's go to John 6:36. I need you to hold that and get Romans the 5th chapter. John 6:36 and get Romans the 5th chapter. Bring that out, Deke.
But I say unto you that ye also have seen me and believe not.
You said what?
But I say unto you that ye also have seen me and believe not.
Y'all see me. No, 6:38. Slocky.
For I came down from heaven not to do my own will.
He said he came down what?
For I came down from heaven not to do my own will.
Not to do my own will.
But the will of him that sent me.
That's the whole purpose that Yeshua came to this world. And our purpose must be the same purpose if we call him Lord and Savior. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. Now let's go to Romans the 5th chapter. Romans the 5th chapter. And let's look at verse 6 through 8 there.
For when we are yet without strength, in due time Hamashiach died for the ungodly.
So listen, Hamashiach never waited for us to get right to die for us. He did what?
In due time Hamashiach died for the ungodly.
Right, verse 6, verse 7.
For scarcely for a righteous man will one die.
So every now and then you might find a guy that see a righteous guy and be like, look, man, I ain't gonna let my man go out for it. I'm gonna die for him. What else?
Yeah, peradventure for a good man, some will even dare
Yeah,
to die.
you know, if you got a good man and you know you ain't right, some might even, you might find a guy that's willing to put his life on the line for somebody else. But what?
But God commended his love towards us in that while we were yet sinners.
He did what?
While we were yet sinners, Hamashiach died for us.
So the Most High never waited for us to line up with his law and line up with his standard and line up with his will. The Bible says that before the foundation of the earth, he slain the lamb. But you said, what that got to do with us? Think about it. If people don't treat you right, you won't do nothing for them. You got Israelites right now that's in the truth to know who they are and won't do anything for a Gentile. You got Israelites right now in the truth right now and won't lift up a finger to help one of your Christian brothers and sisters, or one of your brothers in the conscious movement, or one of your brothers in the world. And using the law and the Most High for an excuse not to do it. Read that again.
But God commanded his love towards us,
right?
In that while we were yet sinners.
While we were yet sinners.
Hamashiach died for us.
Now I'm gonna show you even worse. I'm gonna show you this the more significance of how he did this thing and how we off. Let's go to Matthew 15:24. Watch this. Ride this train with me. Let me show you the honor that this man deserves. and how we off in everything that we're doing because we call him our Lord, we call him our Savior, but we're picking and choosing who we want to give his truth with. We're picking and choosing who we want to pray for. We're picking and choosing who we want to bless. We're picking and choosing when we want to do this thing. But he never did that. Watch this. Matthew 15:24. Read that.
But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
So who was he sent to?
I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
He was not sent, but only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Now, let's go to Luke 22nd and watch this. You may say, what that got to do with what I'm talking about? He was only sent to die for the ungodly and the wickedness of Israel. Watch this. Luke 22, verse 39. Look at what he was going through the night before he had to die for him. Watch this.
And he came out and went as he walked to the Mount of Olives, and his disciples also followed him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was at the place, he said unto them, pray that ye enter not into temptation.
Now, so he came into it. This is right after he done had the Passover. He done told him, he said, listen, I'm about to be crucified here. And he told them, he's like, listen, man, I need y'all to pray with me, okay? Y'all stay with me, pray, so that you don't fall in temptation because it's about to go down. It's about to go down. And they didn't understand the significance of it. Excuse me. What am I talking about? There's some people right now in your family, excuse me, that you guys are losing patience with. Because you've been telling them for a while. Yo, you need to get on board. You've been telling them for a while. You need to come out that Christian church. You've been telling them for a while. You need to follow this law. You've been telling them for a while. You need to put down the pagan holidays. And they ain't listening. They don't see the severity of it. And for many of you, you done close your mouth. For many of you, you done cut your light off. For many of them, you ain't dealing with them altogether. But let's look at what Hamashiach did. Go ahead.
And he was withdrawn from them about a stone's cast, and kneeled down and prayed.
He did what?
And kneeled down and prayed, saying, Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done.
So he's sitting up in this, and he's in pure agony and stress. And he's going to the Father, asking, please take this cup away from me. Notice, keep in mind, that he died for the ungodly. I want you to remember that now. He died for the ungodly. The ones that won't even stand and pray with him. He died for the ungodly. Those that wouldn't listen and wouldn't grasp hold of all he'd been telling them for 3 straight years. And now it's on the brink of this. And he could get out of this. But he said, what was that last part he said? But what?
Not my will.
But not my will.
But thine be done.
Let thine will be done. Watch this. Verse 43.
And there appeared an angel unto him from heaven, strengthening him.
Right.
And being in agony, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was as great drops of blood falling down to the ground.
How many of y'all done been through that? How many of y'all done been through that? None of us. Remember, keep in mind, he died for the ungodly. He's trying to gather the strength to die for the ungodly. He's stressed. He's so much in agony that he's praying and he's sweating and he's coming out blood. He's so scared. Because he knows what's coming for the ungodly. Keep that in mind. Watch this. Verse 44, verse 45.
And when he rose up from prayer and was come to the disciples, he found them sleeping for sorrow.
The people that he was doing it for, they couldn't even stay awake with him. And we stressing. We mad at people. We talk about overcoming self. I'm talking about, man, we invite a person to an event and they won't come to it. We're like, man, I'm done with that person, man. We'll say, come on and watch this lesson, or come pray with me, or come let me talk to her. And they don't do it, man. I'm done with that dude, man. I'm done with her, man. But look at what Hamashiach was doing. Watch this, verse 46.
And he said unto them, Why sleep ye? Rise and pray, lest ye enter into temptation.
Now remember, you still got Matthew 15:24. Read that again.
And he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Let me show you what Israel was doing. Later, after he done prayed this strong prayer for the people that he's about to die for. Let me show you what Israel was doing. Go to Matthew 27. We talk about tonight overcoming self. Man's never-ending war. Let me show you what the people did that he was out there praying for all the strength on earth to go die for. Watch this. Matthew 27, verse 20.
But the chief priests and the elders persuaded the multitude that they should ex Barabbas and destroy Yeshua.
You see that? You talking about you been betrayed? You talk about people talking bad against you? You talking about people stabbing you in the back? And you know that Yeshua knew this was going to happen. What am I saying here? We got to get our feelings and emotions out of the way. Because remember, after all of that, when he was on that cross, what did he tell the Most High? Forgive them. They know not what they do. He had overcome himself. He had overcome his feelings. He had overcome his emotions. He had overcome the envy. He had overcome everything that his flesh was telling him to do, and he would not be victim to it. He would not be subject to it. Because everything was about his mission. And as long as our feelings and our emotions are in the way, we will not be able to accomplish that is set before our lives. That's all I want on that, D. Let's go to Psalms 100. I just wanted to show you that. I just wanted to show you that. And we're going to get deeper in that in a minute. But I want to set the tone for the rest of the night. Right here, right now. We must overcome ourselves. Let's go to Psalms 100. I need you to hold that and get 1 Corinthians 6. Psalm 100 and get 1 Corinthians 6. Psalm 100, D, let's bring that out. Let's start at verse 1.
Make a joyful noise unto the Lord.
He said what?
Make a joyful noise unto the Lord, all ye lands. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come before his presence with singing.
This is the mentality, ladies and gentlemen, that we must have every day our eyes open. Read that again, Deacon. It says what?
Make a joyful noise unto the Lord.
Make a joyful noise unto the Most High.
All ye lands.
All ye lands.
Serve the Lord with gladness.
With what?
With gladness.
With obligation.
With gladness.
Because I got to.
With gladness.
I don't want to go to hell.
With gladness.
With gladness.
Come before his presence with singing.
Every morning, ladies and gentlemen. If the only time you say you worship the Most High is when you're in a congregational assembly, you're off. He deserves so much. He deserves praise. He deserves honor. He deserves your gladness and your glory every morning when you're awake. You understand? Watch this, verse 2. Slack in verse 3.
Know ye that the Lord, he is God.
Right.
It is he that has made us.
Right.
And not we ourselves.
Not ourselves.
We are his people.
We are his people.
And the sheep of his pasture.
We belong to the Most High. He made us, not ourselves. Be wary when you start calling yourself a self-made man. I'm a self-made woman. I deserve this. I earned this. You ain't earned nothing but death. You don't deserve nothing but the sword. If you are a self-made man or a self-made woman, Satan is your father. You understand? Verse 4.
Enter into his gates with thanksgiving.
Nah, man, just come in because, it's my turn to usher.
Enter into his gates with thanksgiving.
Oh man, now it's my time to sing, man.
Enter into his gates with thanksgiving.
Nah, man, you know, I got to pay my tithes, man, because, you know, if you don't, you'll cut my lights off.
Enter into his gates with thanksgiving.
Right?
And into his courts with praise.
Right.
Be thankful unto him.
Be thankful unto him.
And bless his name.
A higher. Notice how in Psalm that name keep coming up all the time. A higher, a sure, a higher. Not just God. You got to know who you're talking to. Verse 5.
For the Lord is good, his mercy is everlasting, and his truth endureth to all generations.
This is the reason, ladies and gentlemen, our life must be dedicated to him. This is the reason why it must be his will and not our will. Not any other reason. You understand? 1 Corinthians 6. 1 Corinthians 6, and let's look at verse 19 through 20. Tonight we're talking about overcoming self. Man's never-ending war. 1 Corinthians 6. Let's look at verse 19 through 20 there.
What? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost?
No, man. Your body is for you, man. It's your thing. Do what you want to do.
Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost?
No, man. It's your thing. Do what you want to do now.
Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost?
I can't tell you who to sock it to.
Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost?
It's your thing. Do what you want to do now.
Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost?
I can't tell you who to sock it to.
Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost?
You want to kill your baby? It's your thing. Do what you want to do now.
Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost?
Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Most High? Not that four-wall building that you're going to on Sunday. You are the church. That's once again, that's that theology of Christianity that done threw everybody off. So now people got more reverence to in a building than they do to their own selves. You understand? And what else?
Which is in you.
Which is in you.
Which ye have of God, and ye are not your own.
And you are what?
And ye are not your own.
Ye are not your own. I don't care what they're telling you in the world. I don't care what your social organization is telling you. I don't care what your groups on social media is telling you. Your body does not belong to you. That goes to the men and to the women. I never thought we would have to have this conversation with the men, but based on a video that I saw the other day with a whole choreograph of men dancing and all of that stuff, it needs to be told to the men too. I saw a woman twerking her butt all out at her son's graduation. You understand? This is what we're dealing with. And ladies and gentlemen, for those who are still in the Christian church, the ideal of come as you are does not mean stay as you are. I'm seeing more high heels in the church than I did when I was in the club. Read that for him again, that last part again. He says what?
And ye are not your own.
And ye are not your own. Verse 20.
For ye are bought with a price.
You are bought with a price.
Therefore, glorify God in your body.
Glorify the Most High.
In your body
Uh-huh.
and in your spirit, which are God.
Which are God's, my ladies. I know you're beautiful. And 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I would have welcomed every picture you post. I would have welcomed every commercial that comes on where these girls walk around in bras and panties. I would have welcomed every video where they can just show people out at the beaches, whatever, and all the sex scenes. I would have welcomed every bit of that. But you cannot allow this whole feminist movement of your body, it's yours, show it, and then they telling our girls, that are bigger girls are telling them, hey, listen, don't let nobody body shame you. Then hey, you go show your wear it tight if you want to, put it all out there if you want to. Don't let them get you like that, man. Your body must always praise the Most High. I was listening to some people talking. I'm gonna say this quickly. Let's go to Isaiah 43 and get Micah the 6th chapter. I was listening to some people talk the other day. I acted like I wasn't listening. And they were shaming this girl. And you would think that the girl was doing something provocative and wicked. No, they were shaming the girl because the girl stopped wearing pants and started wearing dresses. They were shaming the girl because she stopped wearing her breasts all out and whatever the case may be, in makeup. And the girl started wearing more, what's the word I'm looking for? Modest clothing, and start wrapping her hair and stop, doing the makeup. And they was clowning the women, clowning her. And I was sitting there like, she must have came into the truth. And then you know what came up after that? Yeah, you know her husband's in the coat. And I just sat there, I didn't say nothing. I just sat there, I didn't say nothing. Because what's going on right now is that because our women are changing and they're coming back to the ways of the Most High, now you're the ones that's being ridiculed because now you're carrying yourself out in a proper and holy manner. Don't let them play that game on you. That's why tonight's lesson is entitled Overcoming Self, Man's Never-Ending War. I heard an old man say to me once before, it's a popular saying. He says, when you're pointing your finger out at people, remember, there's 3 fingers pointing back at you. And because we've been taught to look at everybody else and look at everybody else with the evil eye, we're losing sight of our own selves. We're losing sight of what's going on in here. And as I said today on Facebook, if you desire to make a difference in the world, you must first allow the Most High to make a difference, a world of difference in you. Because until he makes that world of difference in you, you can't make a difference in the world if you're dressing like, talking like, acting like, looking like, living like everybody else in the world. And it's a shame, I know people get upset when we say this, but Matthew 5 and 13 says, 14 says, you are the light of the world. And for many of our Christian brothers and sisters, your light ain't nothing but a match that could be easily blown out at any time. You understand? That light must be shining from the inside, not a light that you bear in light just when you're in certain situations. That light must glow from the inside. You understand? And if you're doing the same holidays as the world, if you're eating the same food as the world, if you're celebrating the same things that the world celebrate, if your lifestyle is the same way the world is, you are not light and salt. That's not a peculiar people. If I can look at an atheist and he got a Christmas tree up, and I look at you as a Christian and you got a Christmas tree up, that's not a peculiar people. If I can look at a pedophile over here with a ham with a ham on his table, and you over here with a Christian with a ham on yours, that's not a peculiar people. If I see a fornicator over here with a turkey on their table on Thanksgiving, and you as a Christian with one on yours, that's not a peculiar people. That's the same people. In the same clubs, same problems, doing the same things on social media, same conversations in the church, same conversations out of the church, same drama, same beef. It can't be peculiar. That's not light and salt. That's just different shades of darkness. You understand? And that goes the same thing for my Israelite brothers and sisters to the truth. Just because you know that you're not black, that you're not an African American, that doesn't mean anything. If you're still wicked and evil and stiff-necked, don't want to buy, don't want to bathe, don't want to sow, don't want to give, don't want to do nothing, no works. Let me show you what the Most High said this thing's supposed to be about. Isaiah 43. Let's give him verse 7 and verse 21 there.
Even everyone that is called by my name.
Even what?
Even everyone that is called by my name.
Ahia, Ashur, Ahia is his name, according to Exodus 3:13-15. That is Salaki. That is I am that I am. Ahia, Ashur, Ahia in the Hebrew. Read that again.
Even everyone that is called by my name.
That is called by my name, Ahia.
For I have created him for my glory.
He created from what?
For I have created him for my glory.
That's the whole purpose we've been created. Now, Priest said that deep to Ecclesiastes 12:13. He said that we were created for his glory. That's the whole purpose. That needs to be our mission and goal every day to fulfill the purpose that he's placed on our life. Romans 8:28 says what? For we know that all things work together for the good, for them that love the Most High. But 1 John 5:3 says the love of the Most High is to keep his commandments. John 14:15 says, if you love me, keep my commandments. You don't love the Most High. You don't love Christ if you're not keeping the commandments. Right? So all things work together for the good for those who love the Most High and are called according to his purpose. Not your purpose, not your goals, not your desires, not the things you set in your life plan, your 5-year goal, your 10-year goal. Get it all out of there and go back to this Bible and find out what you're supposed to be doing. Ecclesiastes 12:13.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter.
Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter.
Fear God.
Fear the Most High.
And keep his commandments.
And do what?
And keep his commandments.
And do what?
And keep his commandments.
And this is what?
For this is the whole duty of man.
It's the whole duty of man. So it's no way for you to be created for his purpose if you're not doing the commandments. Now look at verse 21 back there in Isaiah 43.
This people have I formed for myself.
He did what?
This people have I formed for myself.
Right?
They shall show forth my praise.
That's it. Overcoming self. Man's never-ending war. Now let's go to Micah 6. Gotta speed up. Let's go to Micah 6. You're gonna love this precept too, by the way. Let's go to Micah 6. And let's look at verses 6 through 9. Micah 6. Let's look at verse 6 through 9. Bring it up.
Wherewith shall I come before the Lord, and bow myself before the high God? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with cows of a year old? Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, or with 10,000 of rivers of oil?
What's going to please him?
Shall I give my firstborn for transgression,
Right.
the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? He has showed thee, O man, what is good.
He said, listen, show me what is good. He said, listen, if I go in here and sacrifice all these animals, and matter of fact, if it gets so bad that I sacrifice, Sue said, plain and simple. If I sacrifice my firstborn, the fruit of my loins for it, is that going to do it? Is that going to be pleasing to the Most High? What do you say? What's the whole thing here? What I got to do?
He has showed thee, O man, what is good.
And he said, nah, I done showed you what is good. I already done told you what is good. What is good?
And what doth the Lord require of thee?
What does the Most High require?
But to do justly.
Do justly.
And to love mercy.
And to love mercy.
And to walk humbly with thy God.
And walk humbly with the Most High. That's what he asked. The sacrifices is great. The tithes is great. The ushering is great. The singing is great. The preaching is great. All of that is good. But it means nothing if you're not doing those things. You understand? It means nothing if you're not doing those things. Right? But look at this verse right here. Verse 9.
The Lord's voice crieth unto the city.
He says what?
The Lord's voice crieth unto the city.
The Lord's voice crieth to the city.
And the man of wisdom shall see thy name.
Whoa. Read that part again, D.
And the man of wisdom shall see thy name.
So what happens is, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have that wisdom of the Most High, remember, Proverbs 1:7 says that the fear of the Most High is the beginning of all knowledge. So if you don't have the wisdom of the Most High, you can't do what?
The Lord's voice crieth into the city, the man of wisdom shall see thy name.
The man of wisdom shall see thy name. Which tells me, ladies and gentlemen, all these people around here that's saying they smart and intelligent, if they don't know the Most High, they're letting it be known. They don't know nothing. And what else?
Hear ye the rod.
He said, hear ye what?
Hear ye the rod.
Hear ye what?
Hear ye the rod.
Uh-huh.
And who has appointed it?
Read that last part again, D.
Hear ye the rod.
Hear ye the rod.
And who hath appointed
And
it?
who hath appointed? Now let's go to Psalm 89 and let's find out what that rod is. Because you know, it says that a Mashiach, who the world know to be Christ, when he comes back, he's going to be ruling with what? The rod. Let's find out what that rod is. Psalms 89, and let's look at verse 30 through 32. Watch this. The Most High said, the prophet Micah says, that the man of wisdom will know the Most High's name, and they will hear the rod, right? That's what he said, right? Psalms 89, watch this, Dick, verse 30 through 32.
If his children forsake my law.
He said, what?
If his children forsake my law.
Uh-huh.
And walk not in my judgments.
Uh-huh.
If they break my statutes.
If they do what?
If they break my statutes.
Uh-huh.
And keep not my commandments.
Right.
Then will I visit their transgressions with the rod.
He gonna do what?
Visit their transgressions with the rod.
Right.
And their iniquity with stripes.
That rod is the law. That's what Christ is going to be ruling back when he comes back with. That law. So it said a man of wisdom will not only hear the Most High's name, but they will hear that law. Now, if you're forsaking the Most High's law, the Most High said you're not a man of wisdom. You're not a man of the Spirit. And we know that the wisdom is the Spirit of the Most High, the Holy Spirit of the Most High. We're going to get into that in a minute too. Overcoming self, man's never-ending war. Now, as I told you on the outset, the other night I made some terrible decisions. The other day, the last 48 hours after the Sabbath, I made some terrible decisions. And the Most High was dealing with me up late, early part of this week. I saw the sun rays. The Most High was dealing with me. It's just one of those times where you just have to take that hard truth. The Most High, you know, he's a very loving and gracious and compassionate God. But when it's time for correction, you don't play no games. You just put it straight out there. So it was a lot of things hard for me to hear. And he was continuing to talk, and I thank the Most High for that. But it was difficult for what I had to just, you know, embrace and accept about myself and who I was. You know, I thought I had arrived, and not arrived, but I thought I was more better off, and there were some things inside of me that has been yet been defeated. It just was dormant. You understand? And so I was up watching. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning, and the TV was on. I had the book, and I was putting my notes on my phone, and that movie, Lord of the Rings, was on, the last one. Now, you may say, like, yo, what are you doing watching Lord of the Rings? But, you know, I used to be in that pre-truth. Now I understand that that's Esau's way of telling us that they're looking for a world without us, because in all 3 movies, there was none of us. But that's neither here nor there. Yes. If anybody ever know the trilogy of Lord of the Rings, you know, it was 3 movies. And the whole goal of the movie was just, you know, sitting around this character named Frodo. It was innocent little hobbit who was given a task to do a work that he didn't ask for. You know, because he was the innocent, he was the pure one out of all the people in the group. And his job was to take this ring, this evil ring that was bringing evilness to the world, and destroy it in its fire where it was created at. So, you know, throughout this whole movie, you got, you know, mad people dying, mad war. A lot of the people who started out in the first movie died. The second movie, some people died. You know, it was a lot of people lost their lives, a lot of struggle to accomplish this goal. So I'm sitting here seeing this, and I'm thinking about it as it gets to the end of this movie. And the Most High has me focusing on what's going on here. Now, the majority of the time, the character Frodo is struggling. You know, he's battling. He's running for his life. People trying to kill him. He's persevering just to accomplish a purpose, like I said, that he never asked for, right? And right at the end, you know, he actually, even in the movie, in the first and the second movie, he actually dies twice. You know, and they had to, you know, the elves, you know, for those who've seen them, they had to bring him back to life because he was the only one that was supposed to be in the world who was able to accomplish this thing. Because the evenness of the ring would take other people over. You understand? And so he done went through all of this. And it's at the very end of the movie. Now, all of these movies are 3.5 hours long. This is the third movie. Frodo's been a perfect person all throughout it. And right at the end of the movie, when you see he's right there about to throw the ring into the fire, the evenness of the ring, the evenness that's in him that he doesn't, that goes when unchecked, now raises up in him. And instead of throwing the ring into the fire, he puts the ring back on. His people's out there battling right now, on the verge of death. Everything is falling apart. And he accepts the evenness of the ring. The evenness of him takes it. You know, that's some evenness in us, ladies and gentlemen, that we haven't checked. You understand? What is on the inside of you that you have allowed to fester? I'm gonna ask you a question tonight. What's on the inside of you that you have allowed to fester? To go unchecked. What's on the inside of you that you secretly enjoy? That you've made excuses for? This one thing could be the difference between your destiny being fulfilled. It could be the difference between your healing manifesting. It could be the difference between your prayer for your child to be healed, to manifest. It could be the difference between your children being who they're called to be. It could be the difference between your marriage surviving this dry season. It could be the difference between a soul that's assigned to your hands being saved. This thing that's being unchecked. The Most High doesn't need us, ladies and gentlemen. He doesn't need any of us, but he desires of us. We need him desperately. But the question I have tonight is, do you desire him? Do you desire him? Or is it that you desire what he has? What he brings to the table? Overcoming self. Man's never-ending war. Let's go to Hebrews 12. Let's look at this thing now. My brother Nick, I hope he's still on. Let's get into the meat. Let's get into the meat now. We're going to set it up now. Let's get into the meat. Right? Right? I hope this thing is not recording upside down now. You think it is? Because
Yes, the time is upside down.
wow. Well, YouTube, your guys gonna have to see me upside down for a while. We got it back straight. Locked in. Right. Now, let's go to Hebrews 12. Glad you peeked that. Yeah, that been kind of tough. Hebrews 12. And let's start there, Deke, at verse 1. We're going to be doing a lot of precepts out of here. Matter of fact, Deke, so they can have all of this and they know which ones to go to. Just go ahead and put that in there for the box, especially for the people who watch this video later. Yeah, just put all that in there. Got to do a lot of precepting out of there. I hope this thing, it's been freezing on my watch part. I hope it ain't freezing on the other side for people to watch. Those people that's watching. Hebrews 12. And let's start there at verse 1.
Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight.
Let's do what?
Lay aside every weight and the sin which does so easily beset us.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, in primarily, this is talking about here. Primarily here, this is talking about the witnesses that are discussed in Hebrews 11 chapter, primarily. But I also want you to consider the fact that the witnesses that we have oftentimes in life are always not going to be positive witnesses. Many of those witnesses give us examples of what not to do. Okay. How not to live. How not to address things. So read that for him again, Dick. He says what?
Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses.
So great a cloud of witnesses.
Let us lay aside every weight.
Every weight.
And the sin.
And the sin.
Which does so easily beset us.
So ladies and gentlemen, you must understand that in order to overcome self, there's going to be a lot of things inside of you that you're going to have to let go of that may not necessarily be just a sin or breaking the law. Okay? And that's one of the things that our people have a hard time with, is because of the fact that, well, you can't show me the Bible is wrong. Why are you talking about that? It's wrong for you. When Jesus turned water into wine, okay, yeah, it is. Nothing wrong with drinking. But the fact that you wake up to a bottle every day, go to sleep drunk, pass out, that means it's a problem for you, buddy. So we got to stop using the Bible, the gray areas. There ain't really no gray areas of the Bible, but what they want to consider the gray areas of the Bible, you got to stop allowing those things to be justification of remaining things that are causing you to be wicked. So you're saying I can go to hell by being on social media. Well, if social media is getting involved in your marriage, yeah, you might want to stop that. Okay, you might want to let that go, because evidently you can't have access to women without wanting to commit adultery. Yeah. Okay, you might want to reconsider it. You understand? Verse 2.
Looking unto Yeshua.
Looking unto who?
Looking unto Yeshua.
Now look unto your pastor.
Looking unto Yeshua.
Look to your elder.
Looking unto Yeshua. The author.
The who?
The author.
Right.
And the finisher of our faith.
Mm-hmm.
Who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down on the right hand of the throne of God.
Now let's precept that. Let's go to Luke the 14th chapter, because I want to make sure you guys understand that fully here. What's required. Now, as Deke go there, I'm going to read that verse again. Luke 14 and verse 25 to 35. Now, I'm going to show you something here. He says, look it unto Yeshua, the author and the finisher of thy faith, which lets us know, ladies and gentlemen, that he wrote our story, and he is the reason that the story will have a good end. Right? Who for this joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of the Most High. One of the problems, ladies and gentlemen, is that we have a problem dealing with the shame and the so-called shame and the ridicule that may come our way. So we got to look to him and how he addressed it. Luke 14, and Deke, let's look at verse 25 there.
And there went great multitudes with him, and he turned and said unto them,
What did he tell them?
If any man come to me, and hate not his father and mother, and wife, and children, and brethren, and sisters, yea, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple.
He said, what?
If any man come to me, and hate not his father, and mother, and wife, and children, and brethren, and sisters, yea, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple.
He cannot be my disciple. Now let's go to Matthew 12 here. because that sounds harsh, right? That sounds a little harsh for Hamashiach to ask that. Because when people see that, once again I say people get in their feelings and they misunderstand what Hamashiach is saying here, and then they say, I can't do that. Well, notice that Hamashiach is never going to ask you to do anything that he hasn't already done himself. Now, I put something wrong in the notes, y'all. That what I said precept verse 25, it really supposed to have been another precept for verse 2. Verse 25 means that's precepting out of here. So I want to make sure that's understood. That's precepting verse 25. In my notes, I'm thinking about myself and not thinking about other people. Okay, so I want to make sure that's understood. That 25 is the 25 out of Luke 14. Okay. And I didn't explain that, so I apologize for that. He's never going to ask you to do anything that he has not already done himself. Now, before you read that, hope you still got your place in Luke 14. Read that again for them so you can understand it.
If any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, yea, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple.
He cannot be my disciple. What is that talking about here, ladies and gentlemen? Do you think Hamashiach wants you to hate your family? No. That's not what he's asking of you. What he's saying is that no one or anyone can come before him in your life. Okay? Nobody. Right? And he asked that, and we're going to show you here in Matthew 12, verse 46 through 50, that he did the exact same thing himself. Let's start at verse 46 there.
While he yet talked to the people, behold, his mother and his brethren stood without.
So he's out there teaching. Right? He's out there bringing it out. He's actually out there about to heal this person. And then his brothers and his sister come, his real brothers. Jude and James, the writers of the book of James and the writer of the book of Jude. These is his real brothers. Got the same mom and daddy. Okay. You understand? They come up. And they out there, Hamashiach's going in. Verse 47, watch this.
Then one said unto him, behold, thy mother and thy brethren stand without, desiring to speak with thee.
So he said, listen, man, yo, Shah. I can see how it's going down. You know how people, hey, yo, Shah. Yo, man, your mom's them out there, bro. Your brother them out there, right? Look what he said. Verse 48.
And he answered and said unto him that told him, who is my mother?
He said, who is my mother? He said, what else?
And who are my brothers?
He said, who is my brother? Now, I remember times hearing this in the Christian church. Boy, I'm not even going to go into some of the things that I heard pastors say with that. Madness. No, I done heard a man actually say that Jesus was wrong with that. Yeah, I didn't actually heard it now. Jesus was wrong about that. Now, you got to honor your mama. I don't care what nobody say. You telling the master he's wrong? Yeah, I done heard it. And it ain't been just once. Because they didn't understand. Watch this. Verse 49.
And he stretched forth his hand toward his disciples. And behold, my mother and my brother.
No, he said what?
Behold, my mother and my brother.
He said, listen, that's my mom and my brother right there. Basically what he was saying, that's my family right there. Watch what he said. Now he gives the explanation. Verse 50.
For whosoever shall do the will of my Father which is in heaven, the same is my brother and my sister and mother.
That's it. And for those in the truth right now, you can attest to this. Since we done came into the truth, and now we got to form this family now, doing this work of the Most High, this has become our new family. Now, for some of us like us, our family haven't completely outcasted us. Praise the Most High for that. But for many people, that's what you're going through. For many of you, when you take that step and come out of the things of Christianity, come out of the things of the world, come out of the ways of your traditions of your family, they're not going to want to have anything to do with you going forward. They're going to put all pressure on you. Some of you are married right now. Some of you are in relationships. When I came into the truth, I was with someone else, the worst person I'm with right now, and that person told me straight up, I ain't signed up for this. I mean, you didn't sign up for following the Bible? But that's what was told to me. I didn't sign up for this. They wanted me to continue to preach lies, continue to preach the things that was happy, that made everybody feel good. No. And at this time right now, his brothers, if you go into the deeper teachings of there, his brothers did not recognize who he was. His mama was still trying to keep him from doing the things that he needed to be doing. It's like, no. These who out here doing the work with me, this is my family. I love everybody else. But right now, this is my family. And this is what I'm telling you. Let's go back to Luke 14. So we talk about overcoming self. For a lot of you right now, that's going to be your hardest problem, that loyalty. I stayed in my church longer than I should to because of loyalty. I stayed in a relationship longer than I should to because of loyalty. I stayed rocking with people longer than I should to because of loyalty. I stayed connected to people in the ministry longer than I needed to because of loyalty. And your loyalty should be strictly to the Most High and Hamashiach. Everybody else is a distant second. And that even goes for your husband or your wife. You understand? And that's one of the hardest things that we got to overcome. Some of you right now are still doing the pagan holidays because you can't have that, you refuse to have that conversation with your parents or with your loved ones, your family. So you're sitting there condemned the whole time. Like this. Because you refuse to deal with the backlash. And you know it's coming. But I'm not telling you something I ain't done. I'll tell you something I understand. Let's go back to Luke 14. Where we at, D? Verse 26? Verse 27?
And whosoever doth not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple.
Listen, if you're not willing to take up this work and go do the Most High's work, I'm telling you right now, he said you're not worthy of me. We're talking about overcoming self. This is what is required. These are the things that you're going to have to do to be able to overcome yourself. Verse 28.
For which of you, intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first and count the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it?
And that's one of the main problems. Because, and being a Christian, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. But being a Christian, it don't take no cost. It don't take anything. It don't take any level of planning and commitment or anything. Just go to church. Just go to church, serve the holidays, and you good as far as the majority of the Christian doctrine is. The majority of what the churches require of people. Just keep going to church. Just go to church, serve, find a position in the church that you can serve at, pay your tithes, and majority of the pastors will never address anything. If you're a faithful tither and a faithful, worker in the church, for as far as they are, you are a good Christian. Still raising hell everywhere you go, still fornicating, still lying, still disrespecting, still committing adultery, still breaking laws. It don't matter. Read that again. He says what?
For which of you, intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first and count the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it?
And this is one of the things that you got to understand with coming in this truth with the Most High. You can't come in this thing the same way you did before. You got to take it. That's what it's about, this internal self-examination of what is going to be taken for you to be with the Most High. You got to do this thing. You got to do this thing. I would say do it from week to week, from month to month, from year to year. You got to continuously evaluate yourself. As you're going from stage to stage. You said, who said they're going to come and build a tower and don't sit down and actually determine whether they can do it or not? Watch this, verse 29.
Lest haply after he has laid the foundation and is not able to finish, all that behold is begin to mock him.
So that's what happens. This is what happens. When you don't take into consideration what it takes to really serve the Most High, because like I said, in the Christian church, you're not taught to serve the Most High. You're taught to serve your pastor. You're taught to serve your church. You're not taught to serve the Most High. So when you're coming to actually trying to have a relationship with the Most High, it's a whole lot different. This is the same thing that it takes from when you're going from a, what they call a boyfriend and girlfriend relationship to marriage. Because you're used to being in these boyfriend and girlfriend relationships, especially today. You're used to doing anything you want to do, say anything you want to, go any way you want to do. And then now, when it's talking about coming to a committed relationship, you act like it's too much. Listen, divorce is not happening because people is wicked and evil. Divorces is happening because people have no level of commitment to anything anymore. That's really what the real issue is. Because now what has happened before, this is what it used to be. You had the courting stage, the relationship stage, which really was the engagement, and people got married. There's no courting stage. You hit a person up a couple times on Facebook, and in a week or so, you're having sex now. Okay? That's now, it's fast-tracked. The relationship, what it used to be where you was getting to know each other, is now the courting stage, and then now people get married after that. That's how people can get married. Like, man, I didn't even know she didn't want children. Oh, I didn't even know that he wasn't saved. I didn't even know that they didn't want to do that. I didn't even know that they didn't want to do it. Because they ain't having these conversations. They're just sitting around having sex. How do you have a relationship and the majority of your communication takes place through text message? That's not a conversation. I love you. Yeah, you can set it easy through a text. But if you look them in them eyes, you know. Nah, that dude don't love me, man. He just love what I'm doing. And that's the same thing goes with the Most High. So then when you talk this stuff, the people say like, yeah, I'm about to get my life together. Yeah, I'm about to serve the Most High. I'm about to come in, man. I'm about to follow the holy days. And then the holy days come, and then it's on this time where you got something else popping like, man, I don't know. Man, I don't know. And then next thing you know, what it do, Jay? Let me play that Grace card right quick. You know what I'm saying? And then now your people's declining you like, well, I thought you said you ain't supposed to eat that. Wait, man, you know what I'm saying? Hey, now, see? That's how it works. That's how it works. Right? Overcoming self. Verse 30.
Saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish.
He ain't able to finish it. Right? Verse 31.
Or what king going to make war against another king sitteth not down first and considereth whether he be able with 10,000 to meet him that cometh against him with 20,000? Or else, while the other is yet a great way off, he sendeth an ambassage and desire conditions of peace.
Mm-hmm.
So likewise, whosoever he be of you that forsaketh not all that he have, he cannot be my disciple.
You cannot be my disciple. That's what Yeshua is saying. If you're not willing to put everything to the side for me, you can't be my disciple. Now let's go back to Hebrews 12. That's enough for that. Let's go back to Hebrews 12. We got a lot of precepts tonight to do. So behind. Hebrews 12, and let's look at read verse 2 and then 3 again, dude.
Looking unto Yeshua, the author and finisher of our faith, whom for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God.
Right.
But consider him that endured such contradiction
right.
of sinners against himself, lest ye be wearied and faint in your own minds.
Read that for them again so they can hear that deeply right there.
For consider him that endured such contradictions of sinners
right.
against himself.
Right.
Lest ye be wearied and faint in your own minds.
What is that talking about here? Now let's go to John the 15th chapter. He said, consider him that endured such contradiction of sinners. Remember earlier when I told you over there in Luke, where we was at in Matthew 27, that Luke 22, excuse me, verse 39. No, Salakia. Matthew 27, where the people that he was willing to die for was the ones who were saying crucify. These guys were wicked and evil. But yet Hebrews 4 and 15 says that Hamashiach was without sin. So he had people that was sinful and wicked and ungodly judging him. And he didn't allow his emotions to get into it. What did that got to do with you and I? Well, isn't the majority of the ridicule and backlash that you're getting from people are wicked and evil? and we get to this thing where we look at them with the, like, you got the audacity, and especially goes on with people in the world. It's amazing to me that people want to hold those who call themselves Christians or those who are in the truth to a standard that you are not willing to keep yourself. So you see a Christian, I'm talking about the people in the world now, you see a Christian in a compromising situation, and then you want to call them out using the Bible, but you publicly and proudly disobey the Bible on purpose. But then want to call, oh, look at that Christian here, hypocrite. What are you then? You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying that all to say this, that one of the things that we struggle with, especially during that ignorant stage that we go through in the truth, is that when we see people that are wicked and lawbreakers trying to come to us and ridicule us and play us and hate us and have a problem with us, you now you coming with the sword. How dare you? But that's not what Hamashiach did. Ladies and gentlemen, the word is a sword. And according to Hebrews 14, that sword cuts double-edged. It separates the sin from the flesh, from the spirit. But the Most High never told us to use that sword to stab. And for many of us, especially those in the truth, we don't use that sword now to start stabbing. We want it to hurt instead of trying to cut the sin off the people. Now, notice that tonight we're talking about overcoming self, because that's one of the main issues. It's because we get so caught up in people trying to battle with somebody, trying to prove people are wrong about us, we lose sight of proving that the Most High was right about us and investing in us. You understand? Now, let me show you this. Let me show you this. What we at? What I say? John 15? Mm-hmm. Let's go to John 15, verse 18 to 20. And let me give you some resolution on this. Let me give you some peace on this, because I know a lot of you are dealing with this. John 15, let's start at verse 18.
If the world hates you, you know that it hated me before it hated you.
Read that again.
If the world hate you,
if the world hates you,
you know that it hated me before it hated you.
Listen, okay, you gotta accept that. The reason why they hate you, ladies and gentlemen, is because they already hated Yeshua. And he's gonna explain to you why they hate you so much. Go ahead.
If you were of the world would love you.
If
his own.
If you was with them, they would love you. Notice how people loved you and had no problem with you when you was in the club with them, when you was fornicating with them, when you was hustling with them, when you was lying with them, when you was gossiping with you. Yeah, you were the bestie. You was my mans. You come away from that, man, that dude, man, that girl, man. Oh, man. Dang, man. I ain't never, be honest with you, I never really rocked with him like that. Read it again.
If the world hate you, you know that it hated me before it hated you.
You got to understand that. You got to understand that. Verse 16.
If you were of the world
Salaki, verse 19.
If ye were of the world would love his own.
Right.
But because you are not of the world, and I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hated you.
That's why you're hated, brothers and sisters. Your life that you're living right now is a constant reminder of the ungodly, of the unrighteous, of the wickedness, of the paganism that is in their lives. And as a result of that, they hate you. And you have to overcome yourself and overcome your sense of, oh, I'm going to battle back and I'm going to fight back, because when people try to try you. Watch this. Verse 20.
Remember the word that I said unto you. The servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, then they also persecute you.
Right.
If they have kept my sayings, they will keep yours also.
You need to understand that. The reason why most of the people that are in the Christian church do not want to hear what we have to say because they have never been submitted to the Most High. They just didn't know it. They was following a religion. They were following traditions of man. And in their hearts, of what had been told and taught to them all these years, was they were doing right. Now, when you come to them and say, no, but what about this? What about that? The reason why they rejected, read that last part.
If they have persecuted me,
No, last part. But if last
they
part.
kept my sayings,
If they kept his sayings,
they will keep yours.
they will keep yours. And the reason why they can't keep yours and honor what you're talking about is because they don't have a relationship with Hamashiach. They got a relationship with the white Jesus of Christianity. And that guy's open to anything. He's willing to hear everything. He's willing to put up with anything. Not Yeshua. That's why this is coming to you. And you have to get past that. You understand? Verse 21.
But all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake.
They're going to do it why?
For my name's sake.
Right?
Because they know not him that sent.
They don't know the Most High. That's why when you say coming to a Christian and they go back and forth and talking, and then they say, well, man, listen, man, I don't serve that God. And I serve the Most High higher. They look at you like, what? Because they think that God that they teach there in Christianity, those gods that they teach in Christianity, they think that that's the Most High. And it's not. And that's why they focus always on telling people to stay out of the Old Testament, because what they call the Old Testament. Because that with these books right here and this tells you all about the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You can't know the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob just knowing Acts through Revelations. Because you're reading letters to people that was wrote all the thing you're doing is reading letters to people who are already submitted to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's just like the Most High showed me this other day. That's just like when you got now when you watch documentaries, especially like I watch a lot of war documentaries, and you'll see letters that men wrote back to their wives, or wives wrote to their men, to their husbands, right? Right? And so you read those letters, and you be like, man, he loved his wife. And when you read a letter, you can get an idea of, the character of a person, but that still doesn't mean you know him. For most of the majority of our Christian brothers and sisters, that is the gist of their relationship with the Most High. Letters that was written about him. But unless you spent time with the man or the woman, you don't know him. You see the difference in that? Just reading some letters or just reading the journal, like they go to these presidents and these former leaders and stuff, and they'll let you read the journals. And they'll read out the letters he wrote to his wives and stuff like that. Letters he wrote to the children. It'll give you a good idea of him. But if you never spent any time with Franklin Roosevelt or Theodore Roosevelt, you don't know him. Never met the man. And that's what they don't understand when they only focus on Acts through Revelations. Because you're reading letters that apostles wrote back to churches that they started based on the books that you were told not to read. You understand that? That makes sense? Now, verse what we at, D?
21.
Yeah, verse 21, verse 22?
Yeah, 22, I'm sorry. If I had not come and spoken unto them, they had not had sin, but now they have no cloak for their sin.
Mm-hmm.
He that hateth me hateth my Father also.
Y'all see that? So when they hate you for Christ's sake, but they hate Christ, and therefore they hate the Most High. So it ain't about you. You got to get your feelings out of the way. When you bring the law, when you bring the holy days, when you bring the standard of the Bible, and they don't want to follow it, it has nothing to do with you. They hate the Most High. This is overcoming self. Now let's go, but now having that understanding, go back and read Hebrews 3 again, 12 and 3 again. And we got another precept coming. Go ahead.
For consider him that endured such contradiction of
Right.
sinners against himself, lest ye be weary and faint in your minds.
So you got to look to Yeshua and look at what he did with. Now watch this. Let's go to 2 Timothy 1. Let me show you this. This is another good precept that you need to see in this. Right? Because he the one endured this thing. This is how we overcome self. Right? Hebrews 2 Timothy 1, verse 7 through 9. Watch this.
For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power.
He gave us what?
But of power.
Power.
And of love.
And love.
And of sound mind.
That's what the Most High has given us. He ain't giving us a reason to be walking around here scared, worried about what's going to happen to us if we do this, or worried about what happened to us if we do that. What did he give us?
But of power.
Power.
And of love.
Love.
And of sound mind.
Right, verse 8.
Be not thou therefore ashamed of the testimony of our Lord, nor of me his prisoner, but be thou partaker of the afflictions of the gospel according to the power of God.
And this is one of the things, ladies and gentlemen. This is what I be dealing with when I be talking to like these so-called closet brews. These closet, these Nicodemus experiences that I have all the time. Where brothers and sisters will come up to me and Jay all the time. Man, yeah, we be seeing y'all, man. Right? They be like, man, there's some truth in what you're saying, man. I believe we are the chosen people, man. We got to get back to this. We got to accept who we are, man. Yeah, man, word, that's what's up, man. So you gonna come out to the Sabbath meeting? Nah, man, you know, I got some stuff got to go on, man. I got to cut my grass Saturday or whatever. But yeah, I got this Pat the Pews service. You gonna come down to the church Sunday? Bro, you must ain't heard nothing I said. Right? So because of these things, you got a lot of people what I call closet brews. They don't want the affliction. They don't want the ridicule. They don't want the persecution. You don't want to deal with the confrontation that's going to come your way. But what did Paul tell Timothy?
But be not thou therefore ashamed of the testimony of our Lord.
Don't be ashamed of what happened to Hamashiach.
Nor of me his prisoner, but be thou partaker of the afflictions of the gospel according to the power of God.
Do you know what Paul went through to preach the gospel? Beaten, shipwrecked, whipped with stripes. And when he was writing the letter, this letter in particular, he was in prison. And he's letting Timothy know, hey, it's going to happen to you. You can't be ashamed of it. You got to be willing to take this thing on. And many of you right now, you're not willing to take it on. You got to get over that point. I'm not telling you to go to a street corner tomorrow. That's not what I'm telling you. Because that may not even be your calling. But you got to get back to this life, and you got to let those things go, and you got to let your light shine. And you can't allow nobody to make you turn down. Why? Verse 9.
Who has saved us?
Who has saved us?
And called us with a holy calling.
Right.
Not according to our works.
Not according to your works.
But according to his own purpose and grace, which was given us in Yeshua HaMashiach before the world began.
You see that? So before the world began, the Most High said that he slain the lamb before the foundation of the world. And he had a purpose. Remember that purpose that we dealt with at the beginning of the lesson? That purpose is now our purpose. He the one saved us. He the one died for us. And since he died for us, we must live for him. His purpose, his mission, his goal, his life. Overcoming self, man's never-ending war. Now, to give them some encouragement on that, let's go to Matthew 10 and see what the encouragement is on that. Matthew 5, and 10 through 12. Give us some encouragement why they need to do that.
Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
So when they persecute you, when they come against you, listen, you can know that the kingdom is yours. Verse 11.
Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you and say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake.
You're blessed. You're blessed. This is only happening to you because you're standing up for Hamashiach. Verse 12.
Rejoice and be exceedingly glad.
Nah, man, complain about it.
Rejoice and be exceedingly glad.
Go live, man, and cry loud. Cry out.
Rejoice and be exceedingly glad.
No, man, turn your back on people and say, I ain't talking to nobody else.
Rejoice and be exceedingly glad.
Burn your fringes and your head wraps.
Rejoice and be exceedingly glad.
Right?
For great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you.
You got to be glad about it. They persecuted the prophets. That's why it's happening to you. You understand? Now, let's go to Romans 7. I want you guys to read the rest of Hebrews there in your own time tomorrow for the Sabbath reading. I'm going to have one more Sabbath reading for you in a minute, but read that as your Sabbath reading for tomorrow. Let's go to Romans 7. Tonight's lesson, once again, is entitled Overcoming Self, Man's Never-Ending War. Now, we had to tackle Romans 7 because this is one of the books that Christians like to pull verses out of here, and Lord have mercy, boy, the way they be. This is right here. Romans 7 is the one verse Willie Hall of Fame right here. I done seen so much sermons preached out of Romans 7, pulling a verse here and there. It is madness. All kind of justification to continue to break the law. All type of justification to be living wicked and evil. All type of justification to claim the grace card. But that's not what Paul did. And that's why at Better Day Ministries, we always like to start at the first verse so we can get a full understanding of what's being said here. Right? And as we always do, what Isaiah 28 says, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. That's what we're going to do here. Right? So let's go to Romans the 7th chapter, and let's start here in the one verse Willie Book of Hall of Fame here. Romans 7, verse 1.
Know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law.
Now notice here that he's starting here the first 31st verse here, okay? He say, who is he talking to?
I speak to them that know the law.
So evidently he couldn't have been talking to Gentiles. Okay? Who is he talking to?
For I speak to them that know the law.
I speak to them that know the law. Okay? He wasn't talking to Gentiles. He's talking to Israelites. Okay? But when you pour a verse in the middle there, it can sound as if that he's talking to somebody else. What did he say to the people that know the law?
How that the law has dominion over man as long as he liveth.
He said, how that is that the law have dominion? He asked that as a form of a question. How is it that the law have dominion over man as long as he lived? And he's going to break it down. Verse 2.
For the woman which has an husband is bound by the law to her husband so long as he liveth.
Right.
But if the husband be dead, she is loose from the law of her husband.
So what he's talking about is this. You know that Yeshua dealt with that in Matthew. He says that the only way that a woman can remarry is that you become a widow or because of adultery. Right? But as long as that man is alive, now we know what the Christian church keeps completely different now. You know, everybody getting remarried in the Christian church today. But according to the Bible, okay, he says as long as that man is alive, that woman and that man is bound together. Right? But if he dies, now that contract, that covenant that was made, allows her to marry another. He's explaining something here. He's breaking it down here. Verse 3.
So then, if while her husband liveth, she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress.
See that? So he's using the marriage covenant to explain the covenant between us and the Most High. The one verse Willies that go down in the middle of the chapter, they don't know this. That's how they're able to come up with their own doctrine based off a verse. He's talking about our covenant with the Most High. Read that again. He says what?
So then, if while her husband liveth, she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress.
Right.
But if her husband be dead,
Right.
she is free from that law.
From that law.
So that she is no adulteress, though she be married to another man.
You see that? Now, let him give, now Paul's going to give out the full explanation of what he's talking about here. Verse 4.
Wherefore, my brethren,
And that's saying, therefore,
ye also are become dead to the law by the body of Hamashiach.
you see that? He has to be talking to Israel here because Gentiles was never married to the law. You understand? He's talking to Israel here. He said, listen, now, because you're with Hamashiach now, that old covenant that you had with the law on Mount Sinai, you're dead to that. Because guess what happened? If you were just under the law at the time and you broke it, what happened? Stoned. Now, because Hamashiach has rose from the dead, and that now he took that old covenant, the old contract, to hell with him, that is no longer valid. Now you can marry Christ. Notice how he's the bridegroom and Israel is what? The bride. You see that? You see how what happens when you start from the first verse? How the whole concept of the chapter is different now? He's talking about the covenants that we have. I'm going to get into what I'm talking about in a minute, but you had to understand what he was saying here. He's talking about now, that law, when we was married to it before, now, okay, you don't have to do that. You're married to Christ now. And he says what?
Dead to the law by the body of Hamashiach, that ye should be married to another,
Right.
even to him who is raised from the dead.
You see that?
That we should bring forth fruit unto God.
That we should do what?
We should bring forth fruit unto God.
That's now. That's what the whole, the five foolish virgins, the parable, that's what he's talking about. The five foolish virgins who still focus on themselves, doing it for themselves. The five wise virgins had their stuff ready. So when Hamashiach came, they went in for the marriage. While the rest of Israel is still standing there waiting on the outside. Y'all see that now? See how that makes sense now? Watch this. Verse 5.
For when we were in the flesh, the motions of sin which were by the law did work in our members to bring forth fruit unto death.
You see that? Because Romans 6:23 says, for the wages of sin is death. So when we was under the law, when our ancestors was up under the law, if you broke that law, in certain laws, you automatically was stoned. It wasn't no grace to come back. That's why Israel, the priests, had to do constant sacrifices all the time. That's why you had to have the Day of Atonement. You had to halt all these things so it would be constant. It was going forth constantly. You understand? It brought forth death because that's what sin does. Watch this. Verse 6.
But now we are delivered from the law,
Right.
that being dead wherein we were held,
Right.
that we were served in newness of spirit and not in the oldness of the letter.
So did he ever say break the law now? He said no, now, instead of worrying about the letter of it, now you serve it through the spirit. We're going to get there. Walk with me here. This is what Hamashiach was trying to teach them. For example, you remember when Hamashiach was going through the cornfield that day and they was out teaching and they went down and they grabbed some corn and then the Pharisees was sitting back and watching and said, yo, you're amazing about that breaking the Sabbath. The letter of the law would have been like, yo, they got to be stoned to death. The spirit of the law says they're out there doing the work of the Most High. They have a right to eat. See that? Same thing when David took the showbread that was for the priests when he was out battling for Israel. The letter of the law said he should have been killed for touching that bread. The spirit of the law says he's fighting for Israel. He has a right to feed his people. See the difference? It says that now we're in Christ now. You have to keep the spirit of the law. Watch this. Verse 7.
What shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid.
That's what he said. Hold on. Now, don't get it twisted. Am I saying that the law is sin? What the Christian church say? God forbid. That's not what I'm saying. That's why you got to break Paul's stuff down, because it's hard to understand. Paul said, am I saying that the law is sin? No. Watch what he says what?
Nay, I had not known sin but by the law.
Mm-hmm.
For I had not known lust except the law had said,
Thou.
thou shalt not covet.
You see that? He said, no. The law is what made me understand what sin was. Precept that. Let's go to Psalm 19. See, that's what happens. Precept upon precept. Reading it in the totality, now you get the understanding what Paul was trying to say. He said the law was wicked. I wouldn't even know what sin is if it wouldn't be for the law. Watch this. Psalm 19, verse 7.
The law of the Lord is perfect.
He said, what?
The law of the Lord is perfect.
Uh-huh.
Converting the soul.
It does what?
Converting the soul.
It does what?
Converting the soul.
Converting the soul. The reason why many of our Christian brothers and sisters are the same people they were when they came into the church and why they're the same way 15, 20 years later is because they don't have the law to do what?
Converting the soul.
Converting the soul. Y'all see that? What else?
The testimony of the Lord is sure,
Mm-hmm.
making wise the simple.
It makes the simple man wise now. That's how it happens. Because of the law. Not the church covenant. Not the church denomination. The law. We're still talking about overcoming self. That law is there for you to overcome yourself. But when you take the law out of the church, your communities is the end result. Look at your community. Look at your friend list. Look at your family. Look at your own life. And the majority of you are members of a church. Are you not? The majority of you would say, how do we get to heaven? We got to go through Jesus. When you say that, no law. Look at your life. Look at your communities. Look at your families. Look at our nation, our people. Look at us. No law. And we're wondering how we still fight this battle. I'm going to break that down in a minute. Verse 8.
The statutes of the Lord are right.
Uh-huh. He said what?
The statutes of the Lord are right.
Mm-hmm.
Rejoicing the heart.
Rejoice in the heart.
The commandment of the Lord is pure. Enlightening the eyes.
It does what?
Enlightening the eyes.
It does what?
Enlightening the eyes.
Enlightening the eyes. That's why you can't see, because there is no law for you to tell the difference between what's right and wrong here. That's the reason why people say there are gray areas. That's the reason why people are saying, well, I don't know, that may be wrong to you, but it ain't wrong to me. Well, at my heart, because the law is clear standing across the board. You understand? It enlightened the eyes. What else? Go ahead, verse 9.
The fear of the Lord is clean.
You said what?
The fear of the Lord is clean.
You said what?
The fear of the Lord is clean.
Mm-hmm.
Enduring forever.
How long?
Enduring forever.
It make you endure forever. Go ahead.
The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether.
Right.
More to be desired are they than gold.
He says what?
More to be desired are they than gold, yea, much fine gold, sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb.
Go ahead.
Moreover, by them is thy servant warned, and keeping of them there is great reward.
Wow. That's a pretty good deal, right? Go ahead.
Sweet deal.
Sweet deal.
Who can understand his errors? Cleanse thou me from secret faults. Keep back thy servant also from presumptuous sin.
Now, let me give you the definition for presumptuous. Presumptuous means failing to observe the limits of what is permitted or appropriate. I'm going to say that again. Read that again. He says what?
Keep back thy servant also from presumptuous sin.
Keep back thy servant from presumptuous sins. And the word presumptuous means failing to observe the limits of what is permitted or what is appropriate. Let me give you an example. We're talking about the social media thing. Many of you that are struggling with fornication and lusting, it's largely because of social media. You spend out it all day long. You got all of these people you're following on these social media sites. You know you are attracted to these people. and yet you steady keep it in front of your eye gates all the time. You watch certain things on TV with sex scenes, and you wonder, why am I struggling with fornication? Because you don't have the comprehension to keep you from what's appropriate and what you should limit yourself to. You understand? That's what the law will do to you. It will constantly remind you, like, yo, hey, bro, you might want to fall back. It will keep you in order. And Soup gave us a precept, Let me read this for you. Acts 3:19, it says, repent ye therefore, and be converted, that your sins may be blotted out, when the times of refreshing shall come from the presence of the Most High. That's what the law will do. But you can't repent if you don't know what to repent for. And that's what our Christian brothers are struggling with, because they don't know what's right and wrong. And that's why he said the law will enlighten your eyes. You don't know what's right and wrong. You just trying to get money. You're just looking for hope. Those preachers on there, they're going to tell you that. Because if we start focusing on you, you won't be caught up in the hustles that they're giving you every day about buying some Prad napkins and water and all that madness. You know? Right? So let's go back to Romans 7. Right? Let's go back to Romans 7. Watch this. Let's go back to it. Now, notice how this is making more sense now when we started from the beginning? You got to turn it off. Romans 7. Back to Romans 7. We started. Read that verse 6 again, D.
But now we are delivered from the law, that being dead we're in.
No, verse 7. Salaki, verse 7.
What shall we say then?
What shall we say then?
Is the law sin?
Uh-huh.
God forbid.
Right.
Nay, I had not known sin but by the law.
Right.
For I had not known lust, except the law had said, thou shalt not covet.
That's how it works. Verse 8.
But sin, taking occasion by the commandment, wrought in me all manner of concupiscences. For without the law, sin was dead.
Now, what concupiscence is the, how can I explain it? It's the things that are enticing to me. You know, certain things that we all like. You know, we all into the same thing. We don't struggle with the same sins. You know, for some people, drinking and drugs was never an obstacle, never a problem. But women or men were. For some people, men and women, you know, fornicating, nah, because they don't really deal with people like that. But money and greed and power and pride was another thing. So it's all about what was enticing for you. You understand? And he says that the commandments brought out those things, because now me trying to keep those commandments, you're going to learn when we get to Romans 8 is that your body, your flesh is going to fight against what's right for you. The quickest way to tell a child the quickest way for a child to do something wrong is to tell them not to do it. Once they find out they can't do something, that's when they want to do it. And this is one of the things that I've been trying to get across to pastors for years, even when I was still in the Christian church, when it comes to sex and fornication. The reason why our children are not being celibate is because the only thing you're telling them is don't do it or you're going to get pregnant or you're going to get a disease. None of their friends are pregnant. None of their children, their friends got a disease. But they're having great times having sex, though. You understand what I'm saying? So then now, the only thing you're doing is, you know, do as I say, not as I do, but not telling you that you was born out of wedlock. When they find out that, your credibility is shot. Do as I say, not as I do. When you find out the deacon is cutting the woman in the choir, their credibility is shot. Do as I say, not as I do. When you find out the unmarried ministers over there having sex with the other unmarried woman, it's credibility shot. So now it's become a battle between doing what they say or rebellion. And when it's become a rebellion thing, of course they're going to do it. When they say talk to drink, it's a rebellion thing, of course they're going to do it. When it comes to doing drugs, it's a rebellion thing, of course they're going to do it. Now they're seeing these things as acts of rebellion, not for themselves. And that's the same thing we as adults are struggling with, because now when you've made it about, you know, you versus what's going to be better for you in the long run, now you got to fight it from the protection of, oh man, just, you know, not doing it. For example, I've been celibate now for 10 years. In September, it'll be 10 years, right? The reason why I was able to do that, not because I'm stronger than anybody else, not because I'm smarter or wiser than anybody else, or holier than anybody else. The way I was able to do that is because I took the control out of my hands. Because at first, I made it about, okay, I'm not going to have sex because God said not to have sex. That was easy. As long as the phone ain't ringing. That's easy. As long as they're not offering it to me. You understand what I'm saying? It's easy for you to go from not to be a go-getter to, hey, you look thirsty, take a drink. That's another battle. So what I did was, being a preacher, I said, you know what? If I have sex with this woman, I kill my witness with her. This hinders my purpose. I can no longer preach Christ to her. And I took her from being a woman to being a sister, where her soul was just important as mine. Now the weight went off of me and I made it about my shot. Now it's easy. You understand? And that's what we're talking about here. But the commandment, we're going to get to you, show you how to do this thing in a minute when we get to Romans 8. Let me stop this because we got some more we got to get to. Verse 9.
For I was alive without the law once.
Right.
But when the commandments came, sin revived, and I died.
He said, listen, I was straight, but when I came to, when that law came, that commandment came, man, I found out I was a dead man walking. Thought I was straight. It was all good just a week ago. But then I came across another law. I came across another commandment, and I found out like, man, that sin came up in me now. Yo, this is wrong too. Man, what am I doing? Yeah, you on that Drake. What am I doing? What am I doing? I'm doing me. And doing me is never going to be successful in the kingdom. You understand? We're talking about overcoming self now. Watch this. Verse 10.
And the commandment which was ordained to life, I found to be unto death.
You see that? The law that was given for me to be able to live only brought me death because I was trying to do it for physical effort. Y'all got to understand what he's saying here. So now when you bring these things out in the middle of the passages, you see how it's talking about something different? But when you get back to that first verse, now you're seeing the covenant that we're dealing with now. It's different. Watch this. Watch how Paul break this down, though. Verse 11.
For sin, taking occasion by the commandment, deceived me, and by it slew me.
Slew me, because now I'm going to sit out here now. I'm going to make this about me. I got this. I'm going to keep this law. But what it did is set me up for failure because I was trying to do this with me. I thought it was about me. Watch this. Verse 12.
Wherefore the law is holy.
What?
Wherefore the law is holy.
What?
Wherefore the law is holy.
That ain't what they said in the church, is they? I heard a man say this, the devil wants you to keep the law. Remember that? The devil wants you to keep the law. But Paul said what?
Wherefore the law is holy. And the commandments holy and just and good.
That's completely different than what you're hearing in the Christian church. The law is bad. It's a burden. It's in bondage. That ain't what Paul said. Now you can go pull that one verse out and make him say that, but not when you read the whole chapter, is it? Paul is teaching us how to overcome self here. With the law. Okay? Watch this. Verse 13.
Was then that which is good made death unto me?
He says, so if this is good, how is it bringing death to me? How does it seem as if the law is holy and good? How is it bringing out the unholiness and the wickedness in me? Watch this. Go ahead.
God forbid.
God forbid.
but seeing that it might appear sin,
Right?
working death in me
Right.
by that which is good,
Mm-hmm.
that sin by the commandment might become exceedingly sinful.
You see that? So Paul said what the law is actually doing is not destroying me, but it's making me realize who I really am. You see that? Paul is breaking it down for how us to overcome ourselves. Watch this. 14.
For we know that the law is spiritual,
For the law is spiritual.
but I am carnal, sold under sin.
You see that? It never was the law, was not the problem, ladies and gentlemen. We are. And the Christian church made it about the law was the problem. And look at the results of the people when the law came out. Look at the people now. You see that? Watch this. Verse 15.
For that which I do allow, for that which I do I allow not.
Right?
For what I would, that do I not.
Right.
But what I hate, that do I.
You see that? He says, the thing that I'm trying to get across, the thing that I actually want to live to be pleasing for the Most High, is what my flesh want to do. My flesh is trying to do the opposite of that. Watch this. Listen to what he's saying here. Verse 16.
If then I do that which I would not, I consent unto the law that it is good.
You see that? Because what the law is doing now is shifting my flesh back to doing what is right. So how is he saying that Paul is saying that the law is wrong? He says, because my flesh is the one that wants to do the bad. The law is the one's bringing me back to what is good. Watch this. Verse 17.
Now then, is it no more that I do it, but sin that dwelleth in me?
It's the sin that dwelleth in me. Paul is pointing out something. And I'm going to show y'all this. What Adam gave to us. I'm putting the cart before the horse, but I'm preparing you for what Paul is bringing down here. I thought I was the problem. But it's not me the problem. It's the sin that's already in me that I was born into. Look at what Paul is saying here. Verse 18.
For I know that in me,
That is my flesh. Mm-hmm.
Dwelleth no good thing,
Right.
for to will is present with me. But how to perform that which is good, I find not.
You see that? Paul said, I got the will to do the right thing, but the actual thing to carry it out, I don't have. Y'all see that? He says, I want to please the Most High. I want to do what's right. But the ability to do it is what I don't have. Watch this. Watch this. Right? Where we at, D? Verse 19?
For the good that I would, I do not.
Right?
But the evil which I would not, that I do.
That's what I end up doing. Because I can do that easy. I can lust easy. I can fornicate easy. I can cuss somebody out easy. I can be mad and angry easy. But that ain't really what I want to do. But that comes easy to me. Watch this. Verse 20.
Now if I do that I would not, it is no more that I do it, but sin that dwelleth in me.
Now he has understood everything that I'm doing wrong. It's not me actually doing it. It's the sin that's in me. Watch this.
I find in a law that when I would do good, evil is present within me.
That's the law that he was talking about. Not the Most High's law. He's talking about there's a law that's already in him that he was born in. Watch this. Go ahead.
For I delight in the law of God.
He says what?
I delight in the law of God.
Why don't Christians read that? You got to see that verse to know that he was not talking about the law being the wrong law. He's going to tell you what the law is because he did what?
For I delight in the law of God.
But I delight in the law of the Most High.
After the inward man.
After the inward man.
But I see another law in my members,
But there's another law that's in me,
warring against the law of my mind,
warring against the law of my mind.
and bringing me into captivity of the law of sin, which is in my members.
That's the law that we're fighting. You see that? That's the law. The law of sin and death. That's the battle. So when you go and pull a verse out of here, you can't get the understanding of what Paul is saying. Paul is saying the law of the Most High is the only thing that's keeping me. But what I found out was there's another law inside of me that's defeating the law of God from coming bringing fruit in me. Overcoming self now. Man's never-ending war. But I'm going to show you how to win that war. Watch this. Watch what he say. Verse 24.
O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from the body of this?
Who shall deliver me? Who going to deliver him?
I thank God through Yeshua HaMashiach our Lord. So then with the mind I myself serve the law of God.
He said what?
So then with the mind I myself serve the law of God.
How did he ever say that Paul didn't say keep the law? Because Paul said with his mind he do what?
I serve the law of God.
But
with the flesh, the law of sin.
But my flesh is keeping that law of sin. Now, do put in there 2 Ezra 3, verse 1 through 22. This is your Sabbath reading that I'm going to give you guys for tomorrow. And that's going to explain to you how the law of sin and death ever came into our lives. The law of sin and death, let me give you a quick overview of it, came when Adam took of the forbidden fruit. That 2 Ezra 3, 1 through 22 will break all of that down. And Ezra breaks down where we went from with Adam and how we as a people, the children of Israel, came up to the law. But the end process was that the law could not take out alone, could not take out that law of sin and death that was keeping us from keeping the law. Even though we had the law and trying to keep it on ourselves, it's a war. You wanted to do right, your flesh wanted to do wrong. Now, let's show you how to win the battle, to overcome yourself. Romans 8, chapter 1. Now read that.
There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Yeshua HaMashiach, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit.
You see that? You see how that makes so much sense now? Now y'all see that? That was what our Christian brothers and sisters are missing. Paul never said that the law was bad. All he was saying is that in his mind, he loved the law of the Most High, but that law, the sin and death that Adam put in him, was warring with him the whole time from keeping the law. That's what the whole chapter 7 was about. Then he goes into chapter 8 and says, what?
There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Yeshua HaMashiach, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit.
Now I don't have to feel guilty no more. I don't have to worry about doing wrong no more. I don't have to breaking the Most High law no more. Why? Verse 2.
For the law of the Spirit of life in Yeshua HaMashiach has made me free from the law of sin and death.
Y'all see that? Overcoming self. Man's never-ending war. You see that, deep?
Wow.
You see that? That's what happens now. Now the Holy Spirit defeats the law of sin and death that Adam brought to us. And now, verse 3.
For what the law could not do.
What the law could not do.
In that it was weak through the flesh.
Because it was weak through the flesh.
God sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin, condemn sin in the flesh.
Now the sin of the law that was in us is condemned, verse 4.
That the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit.
Y'all see that? That's how you overcome yourself. That's how you overcome your bad habits. That's how you overcome that fornication. That's how you overcome that lust. That's how you overcome your drunkenness. That's how you overcome your mouth. That's how you overcome your evilness. That's how you overcome yourself. You got to follow the Spirit of the Most High. It is the only way you will be able to keep the law of the Most High. Y'all see that? Watch this. He's going to break it down even deeper. Verse 5.
For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh.
See, because you after the flesh. You living in the flesh. That's why that flesh going to win every time. Go ahead.
But they that are after the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. For to be carnally minded is death.
Same thing he was talking about in chapter 7.
But to be spiritually minded is life and peace.
Is life and peace. Verse 7.
Because the carnal mind is enmity against God.
Now you understand what that is talking about? You got to go back to chapter 7 to understand. When he was talking about what I want to do, what I hate, I end up doing. And he says, I found out now that it's not me that's doing it, but it's the sin in me that's doing it. He says what?
Because the carnal mind is enmity against God.
Your carnal mind, your flesh is an enemy to the Most High. And until you accept that, you will continue to fail. You will never be able to overcome your bad habits. You will never be able to come to lust in your heart. You will never be able to come to wickedness in your mind. You will never be able to overcome the porn, the sex, the fornication, the drugs, the alcohol, the depression. None of it. You understand? Watch this. Watch this. But what?
For it is not subject to the law of
Because
God.
your flesh is not subject to the law of the Most High. It is not. But
Neither indeed can be.
it can never be. It will never be. It will never be subject to the law of the Most High. So anything you're trying to do through physical effort, you will fail every time. Unless the Holy Spirit is leading you and fueling you and empowering you and instructing you, failure is guaranteed. Every time. You understand? Watch this. Verse 8.
So then they that are in the flesh cannot please God.
You walking in the flesh, you living in the flesh, you will never please the Most High. Verse 9.
But ye are not in the flesh,
But ye who are following the Spirit are not in the flesh,
but in the Spirit.
but in the Spirit.
If so be that the Spirit of God dwell in you. Now if any man have not the Spirit of Hamashiach, he is none of his.
Read that last part again.
If any man have not the Spirit of Hamashiach,
If you don't have the Spirit of Christ,
he is none of his.
you don't belong to him. Y'all see that? See what Pastor Adams said, man. Shabbat shalom, Pastor Adams. Good seeing you on with us tonight, my brother.
But by the Spirit saith the Lord.
That's right, brother.
Not by might. Okay.
Yeah.
Not by might, but by power.
That's right. And what we've been doing is, we've been trying to do this on our own. And that's why we find ourselves going around that spiritual mountain that our ancestors, children of Israel, were going around. Over and over and over again. That's how you find yourself 5 years later. Same mess, same problems. You understand? Watch this. Verse 10.
And if Christ be in you, the body is dead because of sin. The Spirit is life because of righteousness.
You see that? You see that? Watch this. All praise to the Most High, Will. Verse 11.
But if the Spirit of him that raised up Yeshua from the dead dwell in you, he that raised up Hamashiach from the dead shall also quicken your mortal bodies by his spirit that dwelleth in
So
you.
anytime you feel yourself death coming upon you, anytime you feel yourself falling back into your old ways, that same spirit that brought up Hamashiach from the dead will bring you back from the dead. It will bring you back to life every time. Because you got that same spirit in you. You will be resurrected every situation you find yourself dead in. Watch this. Verse 12.
Therefore, brethren, we are debtors not to the flesh,
Not to the flesh.
to live after the flesh.
Uh-huh.
For if you live after the flesh, ye shall die.
Read that again.
For if you live after the flesh, ye shall die.
Ye shall die. But what else?
But if ye through the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live.
We got to do what?
But if ye through the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live.
Ye shall live. Pastor said he clinking the cymbals. All praise, Pastor Adam. All praise. Verse 14.
For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God.
So that's letting us know. If you're not led by the Spirit, you're not a son or a daughter of the Most High. You understand that? You can't just come in here and say, I walked down the aisle one day and, hey, nah. Yeah, I accepted that what we hear in the Christian church all the time. I accepted Christ at a young age. Nah. What Pastor say right there?
We walk by the flesh and wonder why we can't feel spiritual things from God.
Right. But Pastor, this ain't no feeling though. Because I think a lot of times that's one of the things that we struggle too, because we get caught up in emotionalism. And I know that's not what you're saying, but that's one of the things that we struggle with too. When we was in the Christian church, we would get caught up in the feelings. So when you're in there and the music playing and the preacher shouting and the crowd is moving and everything pumping up, you feeling that right there. You feeling that emotional drive. But you're not going to feel that emotional drive when you're at home and it's just you. You're not going to feel that spiritual boost all the time when it's right there. You sitting there and it's between you and that sin that you're struggling with. And so a lot of times we'll say, I don't feel safe. Well, you're not. You're never going to feel this thing now. There are going to be days and you're going to be riding on cloud nine and you're going to be feeling great. But then there's going to be time when you're having that valley experience, and you got to understand that even in that valley experience, even in that lowest point of your struggles and your hardships and your heartaches and everything seems like it's falling down around you, you got to know that you're in the hands of the Most High. You got to know that you kept. Matter of fact, let's give them a precept on that. Let's go Philippians 4. Give them a precept on that. And then let's end off in Sirach 40. I want to give them a precept on that. Philippians 4 and I know credit. I might have to use that one, Pastor. I might have to use that one. There's a lot of people shouting on credit, and that debt gonna need to be paid. That's a good one right there. Philippians 4, give them that 4 through 8 right there.
Rejoice in the Lord always.
You said what?
Rejoice in the Lord always.
Nah, just rejoice when things are going good.
Rejoice in the Lord always.
Right.
And again, I say rejoice.
Right.
Let your moderation be known unto all men.
You said what?
Let your moderation be known unto all men.
You got to let everybody know, even the ones that don't want to hear it, even the ones that's laughing and clowning at you. You got to let your position know that you got to let the world know where you stand when it comes to the things of the Most High. You can't turn down. I mean, we can't say you can't be closet Israelites. You can't be closet disciples of Christ. You got to let your moderation be known to all men. What else?
Let your moderation be known to all men.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord is at hand.
Right.
Be careful for nothing.
Be careful for nothing. That means be anxious for nothing.
But in everything by prayer and supplication.
By what?
By prayer and supplication.
By Facebook posts.
By prayer and supplication.
By tweets and Instagram posts.
By prayer and supplication.
Right.
With thanksgiving.
With what?
With thanksgiving.
With what?
With thanksgiving.
That's very important. Because what happens a lot of times is that you're asking for something, but many times, ladies and gentlemen, You don't want to think the Most High until you start seeing some evidence of it. No, Mark 11:22 says, have the faith of the Most High. Mark 11:23 says that if you believe that when you speak to the mountain, and you do not doubt what you say, but believe that you have received what you say, you shall have whatsoever you say. So when you believe that you got your healing, you're not gonna thank him when you start feeling well. You're gonna thank him at the end of your prayer. I thank you, Father, for the healing. I thank you because of the stripes of Christ I'm already healed. But what's going on, like what the pastor said, is that we're shouting on credit. But when it comes to the things of the Most High, you need to understand fully that his promises, according to 2 Corinthians 1:20, is yes and amen. So your answer to receiving those promises must always be yes and amen. You understand? Read that again, verse 7 again. He says what? Verse 6 again, he says what?
Be careful for nothing.
Be anxious for nothing.
But in everything by prayer.
Now, in some things.
In everything.
So that's another problem. A lot of times we be trying to, this right here I can handle. This here I got. But this I can't. No, he says what?
But in everything.
But in everything.
By prayer.
And
supplication.
And supplication.
With thanksgiving.
With thanksgiving.
Let your requests be made known unto God.
Unto the Most High.
For the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Yeshua HaMashiach.
That's what's going to happen. When you do it that way, that peace will overcome you. So even in the midst of the bills on the table, you got peace. Even in the midst of the bad doctor's appointment, you got peace. Even in the manner of in the appearance, in the presence of the wayward child, or the husband who don't want to listen, or the wife who don't want to listen, or the boss who don't want to listen, whatever your circumstances may be, you'll be standing there with peace. And this is how you continue your peace. Verse 8.
Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things.
Think on these things. Number one, you better turn the news off. That's the first thing. Turn the news off. Don't watch the cancer commercials. Don't get off of social media. All of that stuff, just get it out of there. Because you can't do it. When they tell you you turn it on Chicago Med and everybody that go into the hospital die. That's gonna destroy you. I'm telling you right now. You can't listen, on these TV shows, everybody that goes to the hospital dies. Everybody dies. No chance. Okay? So you gotta understand. If you want this overcoming yourself, man's never-ending war. Now let's end off tonight in Sirach 40. What Pastor?
Too many chameleons, knowing where they are at and who they will.
Let's go to Sirach 40. For those who don't have an apocrypha, you can go to the Google and put in SIRACH chapter 40. Google this and you can be able to follow along with us. You're going to see in those that are popular, of course, it says Ecclesiasticus, but you can do it easy way by saying Sirach. Sirach is the writer of Ecclesiasticus. Sirach, the 40th chapter. Now, we're ending off here tonight because this right here is going to give you some wisdom scriptures on how to deal with certain things in your life that you need to overcome. There are some things, practical things that the scriptures that Paul we was talking about earlier, you know, it's an overall thing, but we want to dissect some of the things that a lot of us are dealing with in order to know that we have to overcome these things. So pay close attention to hear what Sirach is bringing out here. Sirach 40. Let's start there, verse 1.
Great travail is created for every man.
Read that again.
Great travail is created for every man, and a heavy yoke is upon the sons of Adam.
Upon the sons of who?
The sons of Adam.
Right.
From the day that they go out of their mother's womb to the day they return to the mother of all things. So,
and that means the ground. Because when the Most High made our bodies, we were formed from the dirt of the ground. So he said, listen, no matter if you're an Israelite, no matter if you're a Gentile, whatever it is you are, all the sons of Adam have to deal with problems from the time you're born, from the time you die. This is across the board. Okay? This is across the board. This is why The Bible says in Philippians, the 5th chapter, verse 6, he says, humble yourself on the mighty hand of the Most High, that he may exalt you in due time. Verse 7 says, casting all your care upon him because he cares for you. Verse 8 says, because the devil roams as a lion. Notice he roams as a lion, seeking who he may devour. But Yeshua HaMashiach, who the world knows to be Jesus Christ, is the Lion of Judah. So you always need to be mindful of the fact that the devil may be roaming as a lion, but Yeshua HaMashiach, who the world knows to be Jesus Christ, is the Lion of Judah is behind you. That's what you need to be mindful of. He's roaming as a lion, but you got the real lion behind you. So that means he can't devour everybody. He can only devour those who don't have the lion behind them. You understand? And in verse 9 says that be mindful that the issues that you have is common amongst all your brothers that are in the world. And I know sometimes when you feel like you're going through these situations, that it's just you, that it's just your family, just your child. But everybody's got some problems. But the key thing there is verse 10. He says, after you have suffered a while, he will settle you, he will perfect you, and he will empower you and strengthen you through Yeshua HaMashiach, who the world knows to be Jesus Christ. So read that again, Deke, verse 1 and 2 in Sirach 40.
Great travail is created for every man, and a heavy yoke is upon the sons of Adam, from the day that they go out of their mother's womb to the day they return to the mother of all things.
Verse 2.
Their imagination of things to come in the day of death troubled their thoughts and caused fear of heart.
So not only it's like a constant bombardment that you're dealing with. You're thinking about the problem I got next week, or the bill that I got to pay, or I might die. Am I ready to die? I might get sick. This is happening to everybody. This is in everybody's mind here. Remember, we talk about overcoming self. Man's never-ending war. Everybody is dealing with this in one fashion or another. Right? Verse 3.
From him that sitteth on the throne of glory unto him that is humble in earth and ashes.
He said, listen, this goes on. Don't make no difference if it's the president of the United States, whether it's some prince or king over in one of these countries, whether it's the richest man in the world to the poor homeless man that's on the corner. Everybody is dealing with this in one manner or another. No matter how much money you got, no matter how much celebrity status you have, no matter how poor you are, no matter whatever the situation is, how beautiful you are, how popular you are, nothing will allow you to escape these certain factors of life that everybody has to deal with. Watch this. Sirach is building something here. Listen to what he's saying here. Verse 4.
From him that weareth purple and a crown, unto him that is clothed with the linen frock.
He's talking about everybody. No matter what status or position you hold in this earth, socially, everybody's going to deal with this. Watch this. Verse 5.
Wrath and envy, trouble and unquietness, fear of death and anger and strife, and in the time of rest upon his bed is his night sleep, do change his knowledge.
You see that? So all of these things are coming to him from one angle or another. And then when he's in bed at night, he's sitting there trying to sleep. Everybody have restless nights. Everybody's going through this. And then now when he's struggling with all of this, now it changes his mind, his approach, and his perception on life. Watch this, verse 6.
A little or nothing is his rest.
Right.
And afterward he is in his sleep, and a day of keeping watch, trouble in the vision of his heart, as if he were escaped out of a battle.
So now he's thinking every way it go, like, man, I just barely made it. There was an accident over there where I came from, and and I went through this, and somebody got shot down that corner where I went down, and the person who had got this, they got the same sickness on my job, they died, and then it's a constant back and forth of man, oh man, they feel like they're running for their lives. All of us are dealing with this. But watch this, what he says, verse 7.
When all is safe,
but when all is safe,
he awaketh and marvel that the fear was nothing.
Then he wake up and come out of the situation. He like, man, I was tripping for nothing, man. Man, praise the Most High, man. He got me, man. I'm straight. What am I tripping over? The bill gets paid. The child gets healed. The beef that you had between your husband and wife is reconciled. Your child makes it. You know, all these things that we feel when we're going through is the end of the world, right? At the end of the day, by the time we get through it, and just because what we have to realize is, ladies and gentlemen, hard times, we go through it. We don't walk around it. You understand? You got to go through that thing. And the problem is, ladies and gentlemen, it's like this right here. You ever been driving and hard rain comes down? Many times people stop because they can't see or it's too much to bear. But wise people will tell you, just keep driving. You're going to drive out that storm. What happens to many of us in life, ladies and gentlemen, is that when the storms come, it ceases you from doing everything. And that's why the storms last a whole lot longer than it should. They give them James 1. You don't even have to start at verse 1 tonight. Let's go straight to it, 2 through 5, because I ain't want to. This is something I want to bring out. I want to be serious tonight.
My brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into diverse temptations.
Right?
Knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience.
The trying of your faith worketh patience.
But let patience have her perfect work,
Uh-huh.
that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing.
Right?
If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God.
He said what?
If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, it shall be given him.
So if you have a situation, if you lack wisdom on what to do, you take the time to ask the Most God, ask the Most High. Now, we always like to remind you, never question the Most High, but there's nothing wrong with asking the Most High a question. You understand? And Sue gave us Sirach 2 and 4 and 5. I got that for you, D. Sirach 2 and 4 and 5. I could quote it, but I want to read it for the people. Sirach 2, 4 and 5. It says, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a lower state. Right? He says, for gold is tried in the fire. And in what? Acceptable men. Right. In the front of adversity. Okay? But this is, I said all that to say this. This is for the righteous. Watch what Sirach said in the next verse, though. Verse 8.
Such things happen unto all flesh.
Such things happen unto all flesh.
Both man and beast.
Both man and beast.
And that is sevenfold more upon sinners.
Read that last part again.
And that is sevenfold more unto sinners.
But it's sevenfold more unto sinners. So what is the rock saying there? If you're not willing to overcome yourself and remove the wickedness from your life, you are guaranteeing that you're going to have 7 times more trouble, 7 times more hardship, 7 times more anxiety, 7 times more depression, 7 times more heaviness than everybody else. No peace for the wicked. See, ladies and gentlemen, and I know this may offend some people, but I have to put it out here. All of this mental health stuff that you're seeing right now is really for 2 reasons. Number 1, it's for one y'all not ready to accept. So I'm not even going to tell you. But for the other side of it is, it's because what you're seeing is a result of wickedness, as a result of living outside of the Most High. And people are not willing to have that conversation yet. And so now you're seeing all of these celebrities come out. Yo, I had suicidal thoughts. Man, I was depressed. Man, this and that. Then now, pastors, and Christian gospel singers and ministers and bishops. You know what all of those people have in common? They're not following the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They're not committed to the law, statute, commandments of the Most High. That's the thing that all of them you see talking about, they're depressed and suicidal and I don't know what I'm going to do. All of those things, all of those people have the same thing in common. None of them are following the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. None of them are keeping the law, statutes, commandments. None of them are following the Holy Spirit. Read that last part again. No, read the whole verse.
Such things are happening to all flesh.
Such things happen to all flesh.
Both man and beast.
Both man and beast.
And that is sevenfold more upon seven.
You see that? That's why. We're talking about overcoming self. Man's never-ending war. And these are everybody talking about. What did they say? Like say, Jay? Let's start a conversation. Let's start a conversation. No, these guys are not willing to have the conversation because the answer to all the depression, all of the mental health is here. It ain't. That's the answers. No medicine, no psychiatry, no nothing. This is the answer for it. And if you ain't got this, you can take off. Listen, how in the world are you taking antidepressant pills, but then they got to take another one? The commercial said, yeah, I was suffering from depression, and I took an antidepressant, but I found myself still feeling depressed. You know why? Because when you look on the side effects of the antidepressant pills, one of the side effects is depression and suicide. That's the side effects of antidepressant medicine. But they don't tell you that. Break it out.
One of those commercials that deals with talking about taking antidepressants is the one with the lady.
Yeah, with the mask.
Fan. If you notice, once she takes the pill, she just simply puts the mask in her purse.
Right.
It never goes away.
It never goes away. She just puts it down because right now that I'm taking 2 pills instead of 1, I feel a little bit better. But it's still here. It's still here. Remember, I always like to go back, and we got a lesson that we did on that called Defeating the Spirit of Depression and Anxiety. We got a lesson on that if anybody wants it. But one of the things that we like to point out in there is that let's see how Hamashiach dealt with mental illness. When the dude had the spirit in Mark the 9th chapter, they called him a lunatic. That will be considered a person that's bipolar and schizophrenia today. Did Hamashiach say, go down there to the physician and give us some? No. He cast it out of him. When Hamashiach came to the guy in Mark the 5th chapter that had the demons in him, had so many in him, their name was Legion. Did he sit down and have a psychiatrist thing and let him talk it out? No, he cast it out of him. This is the problem. The Christian church don't have the power to do that. So that's why they say the church ain't the answer. That's why you hear all the people say that. No, it's not. Because they don't have the power. That power only comes from Hamashiach, and they serving the white Jesus. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. Because Hamashiach didn't do that. He cast out. The disciples cast out. Apostles cast out. Now, no, let's talk about it. No, let's start a conversation. Like I said, the main reason, I know y'all ain't ready here, so I'm not even going to do that to you. But it's so much worse than you can ever imagine. But this other side, and now if you ain't paying attention, you notice, and on these commercials now, especially the little special that Channel 9 did, now they bringing out our people. Because the Most High is releasing the Spirit now to bring our people out of this madness. And instead of, before the Israelites can get to them with the truth, they already, here, take this pill. Take this pill. Take this pill. You understand? We're talking about overcoming self. Read that again, D. Sirach 40 and 8.
Such things happen unto all flesh.
So everybody go through that. Everybody go through sad times.
Both man and beast.
Both man and beast.
That is sevenfold more upon sinners. Death and bloodshed, strife and sword, calamities, famine, tribulation, and the scourge. These things are created for the wicked.
These things are what?
These things are created for the wicked.
It's created for who?
These things are created for the wicked.
What?
And for their sakes came the flood.
You see that? Let's bring out a couple more things here. Let's go down to verse let's go down to verse 18. We're going to end off. Let's go down to verse 18.
To labor and to be content with that man has is a sweet life.
It's a what?
Is a sweet life.
Right?
But he that findeth a treasure is above them both.
You see that? Go ahead.
Children and the building of a city continue a man's name.
But what?
But a blameless wife.
But a who?
But a blameless wife.
But a who?
But a blameless wife.
Right?
Is counted above them both.
You see that? See, man, I wanted to go here. I know we needed to end this out, but I wanted to go here. Because when we're talking about overcoming self here, one of the problems with our men is you're so caught up in bringing a woman into your life that's going to have all your homeboys saying like, man, yo, man, shorty, hey, man, yo, you see old boy, girl? Some of you are living for that. And you don't even realize that you're bringing your worst enemy into your life. Because that's all she's ever going to be for you. Is that. That's all she's going to be. Claps from your homeboys, envy from covetous people. That's all it's going to ever bring. And I ain't no way in the world I could dedicate my life to that. You understand? We talk about overcoming self. That blameless woman is going to make you so much more of a legend, so much more of a leader, so much more decrease of the ability to you reach your full potential than anything. And so many of our men are never, ever going to reach their full potential because the only thing they got is a wife that's good enough for nothing just to look at. She don't got nothing inside her to be a wife, nothing inside her to be a mother, nothing inside of her to be your queen, nothing inside of her to empower you or to inspire you or to help you do nothing. But get claps and likes on your pictures. It's time to overcome yourself. And so I'm not even talking about the Jezebel thing. I'm not even talking about a wicked woman. Because some of these girls that are this, they're not necessarily wicked. You understand? I'm not talking about this just necessarily wicked. I'm just talking about the fact that when you talk about the Bible, I ain't want to hear it. You talking about being holy, I don't want to hear it. You talk about dressing modest and not walking around the beach naked and walk around the streets naked, I don't want to hear it. I'm not listening to you. I'm not listening to no elder. I'm not listening to nobody. If Oprah ain't saying it, if Beyonce ain't saying it, I don't want to hear it. I'm talking about them. You understand? I think we throw that Jezebel title around, we throw it around too loosely. You understand? That Jezebel, that's a total different thing. Some women, hey, they ain't trying to take over, man, but they sure ain't trying to help that man either. You understand? You know, it's going to be so much more than that. We got to overcome that. Verse 20.
Wine and music rejoice the heart,
right?
but the love of wisdom is above them both.
Wine and music gonna make you have a good time, but that love of wisdom will bring way more joy than any amount of wine and music that you can have, right? Go ahead.
The pipe and psaltery make sweet melody,
Mm-hmm.
but a pleasant tongue is above them both.
You see that? Watch this. Verse 24.
Thine eye desire favor and beauty, but more than both corn while it is green.
Listen, I'm telling you. He said, listen, hey, you like to see good things, but I'm gonna tell you right now, when you get in that tough spot, you get in that hungry spot where you need it, that corn, that food, access to that is gonna mean so much more to you than the beauty of the world in your dry season. That's what Sirach is bringing out here. Watch this. Verse 24. This is what I want to, no, verse 23. This is what I want to get to right here. 23 and 24.
A friend and companion never meet amiss,
Mm-hmm.
but above both is a wife with her husband.
Y'all see that? I'm bringing it back to that woman every time. Because a lot of you men you putting so much merit and so much stock in your homeboys. Man, you know what I'm saying? I got it. You know, you want me to forsake my boys? You want me to turn my back on my boys? Yes. Why is your homeboy at your crib every day? Why is your homeboy, you going out with your homeboy more than you taking your wife out on dates? Why is every amount of free time you got is spent with your homeboys? You understand? This is the things that we need to overcome. We need to put down this childish stuff. We need to put down this you know, this is my life bond. Listen, and I'm gonna end it on this. You're not gonna be able to walk this life with the Most High, with your husband and your wife, when the majority of your friends are single or whoremongers. I'm gonna tell you straight like that. If the majority of your friends are single and whoremongers, and you talking about being married to your husband or your wife, you need to reevaluate everybody that's in your life, because they're not gonna have any wise counsel for you. They're not gonna have any examples for you. You're gonna need to be able to talk about real things going on, and these people are not gonna be able to offer nothing for you. It's amazing to me, married people walk around with single people and whoremongers. Your man's got 4 or 5 baby mamas across the city, and that's who you hanging with. What do y'all got in common? What do you got to talk about? Talking about overcoming self. I think that's it. That's it on that. But let's give 24 through 26, and we're good. That's it.
Brethren, and help are against time of trouble,
Mm-hmm.
but alms shall deliver more than both.
Read that again.
Brethren and help are against the times of trouble.
See, when you got homeboys and when you got, you know what I'm saying, family, they're going to be there for you in the time of trouble. But what's going to help you more in your time of trouble?
But alms shall deliver more than them both.
Them things you've been doing for the poor and the needy, they're gonna make more room for the blessings to come in your life more than any friend, any homeboy, any family member ever. You understand? Verse 25.
Gold and silver make the foot stand sure, but counsel is esteemed above them both.
You see that? A lot of you feeling real confident because you got a lot of good money in your pocket, in your banks. But that ain't gonna do nothing for you more than that wise counsel do. Because if without that wise counsel, you'll take all that money and blow it at Black Bike Week. You'll blow it at Memorial Day. You'll blow it down there in Atlanta somewhere. You'll blow it. You understand? Last verse here, verse 26.
Riches and strength lift up the heart, but the fear of the Lord is above them both.
Read that again.
Riches and strength lift up the heart,
Mm-hmm.
but the fear of the Lord is above them both.
Right?
There is no want in the fear of the Lord.
There's no what?
There is no want in the fear of the Lord,
Mm-hmm.
and it needeth not to seek help.
You will never need anything if you got the Most High on your side. Overcoming self. Man's never-ending battle. never-ending war. Tonight I want to give all praise and honor to Ahaya, Bahashem Yeshaya, Royal Walk, for everything that took place here on tonight. We'd like to thank the Most High for each one of you that stood with us and walked with us tonight. We thank the Most High for those who are going to watch this lesson in the days to come. We pray and hope that something was said here tonight to inspire you, to empower you, and to encourage you to continue on in this battle we call life. We thank the Most High for everything here tonight, and we just give all honor and glory to Ahaya for everything that took place here tonight. All glory belongs to him, no glory to us. And as we always say, we love you, each and every one of you. We want you to continue to be steadfast, continue to be unmovable, continue to be always abounding to the work of the Most High God, Ahaya. Two quick announcements. We have our men's conference coming up June the 15th in Anson County, Wadesboro, North Carolina. Asking all you bring out the youth, bring out your men come on out. Asking your pastors come out and fellowship with us. We're going to have a good time in the Lord. We're going to have workshops for the youth, workshops for the adults. We're going to have a good meal afterwards, so we ask you guys to come out. Ask for those who are want to take part in sowing into us, what we got going on. We got events going on. The brother's going to be taking a trip down to Jacksonville next week. Anybody want to sow to help us take this trip, reach out to John David. Reach out to Judah Cultural here. If you want to sow into the events, reach out to those people and they will get you the information in order to do that. Also, we're very excited about Transformation Tuesday. Make sure you check out that video. We will not be next Tuesday. We'll be doing that every other Tuesday. But we do have the video for Transformation Tuesday. It was a dynamic Q&A. Got some good information out. So we will be doing Q&As going forth on Transformation Tuesdays. Also, I'm excited to announce, me and the Deacon was talking about before we came on live tonight. My queen, forgive me, I didn't have a chance to speak with you before we went on. We're going to be starting a new teaching series this Sunday we call Salvation Sundays. Salvation Sundays. We're going to be doing that the first month of every month. We call it Salvation Sundays. And we're going to do the first Sunday of every month. That's what we're going to do it only once a month. We call it Salvation Sundays, along with Transformation Tuesdays and the Sabbath lessons. This week, which will be the first Sunday in June, will be our first installment of Salvation Sundays. And guess what we're teaching on? You got it. The rapture. It's been a long time coming. We get a lot of questions about it, and it makes it real difficult to answer those questions because it's a lot of information to go over. So, and we thought that it was great to start out Salvation Sundays with a lesson on the rapture. Is the rapture true? Where did it come from? Do you have to be concerned with it? We're going to go over all of those things this Sunday. Look for Sunday morning at 10:30. Now, we know our Christian brothers and sisters. We know you'll be fellowshipping and doing what you do. And so it'll be available for you after you get out of church. But for my Israelite brothers and sisters, for those who are not a member of the church, we will be teaching this Sunday at 10:30 on the rapture. It's our first installment of Soulful Sundays. So we're going for that soul, and we're going to start with the lesson on the rapture. Because it's one of the things that, and we also will be doing addressing for our Israelite brothers and sisters the 400-year prophecy. Okay, so we're going to start with the 400-year prophecy for our Israelite brothers and sisters, and then we're going to teach on the rapture for our Christian brothers and sisters. Deadening it all, bringing light to it all in one lesson. So we would love for you guys to tune in with us. Dick, you got anything? As we always say, continue to be steadfast, continue to be unmovable, always abounding to the work of the Most High. You know that we love you. You know that we're praying for you. And if you need any more clarification or any understanding, don't ever hesitate to hit us up. Barakatah to Israel out there, Kwam Yasharala. We love you.
I got demons trying to take me on the daily. Another man shot laying on the pavement. All these thoughts run through my mind, I'm feeling caged in. I was in love with this woman who don't love me now. She went and switched it up and got me thinking, wow. I just gotta be a man and make my daughter proud. If I ever needed blessings, Lord, I need them now. And I'm not trying to act like she the only one, cause I confess my sins before the Holy Son. Tears the water flow, just watch him overrun. I know I may have lost this battle, but the war is won.
Yeshua saved me.
Save me. I'm in the world and they got me going crazy. I lost my little baby girl in my day. Don't let these trials and tribulations ever change me.
Yeshua saved me.
Come and save me. I got demons trying to attack me on the daily. Another man shot laying on the pavement. All these thoughts run through my mind. I'm feeling
Rakatah.
caged in.
Shalom.
Reach and pull me up. I need a helping hand.